In this video today, our Haiboxing 18th scale 18859 gets the whole host of upgrades. It gets the oil-filled aluminum shocks installed, front and rear drive shafts along with the aluminum hexes. It's getting the works. It's getting all of it. Follow along as we show you how to do this. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is Roadside RC. We do all of the RC stuff here. We do the drifting, we do the crawling, the bashing, sometimes the racing. We're even getting into the FPV drone stuff. And today we're working on this Haiboxing vehicle. So welcome. Let's follow along. Let's see how much better this can make this truck. Now this is really demonstrating why you might want to do this. You'll see that the factory hub, one, it's plastic, and that always usually leads to issues, but then two, you can see this little spline situation that they got going on here. That's not very strong. As you eventually run this, eventually that will break, you know. And as we go in with the new product, the new product is going to be a full shaft with a nut on the outside and a full aluminum hex inside the wheel. So this hex was inside the wheel. It has the standard hex inside there that this new metal one will go into. This will be a lot stronger for us overall. With it off here, we can actually see the difference between the old one and now the new upgraded part. So the old one had a plastic drive cup. It did have the metal drive shaft, which is awesome. But then that metal drive shaft went into a plastic out drive, which is just, it's going to break on you at some point. Mine, fortunately, are still in pretty good shape. We're going to be going to a metal out drive, which is awesome. Still, that metal drive shaft looks like it might actually be slightly thicker, which is great. And then it goes into that whole metal out drive. Now, of course, watch this here. So it has this little sleeve. We're going to transfer that sleeve over. It had an inner bearing that was still on here when I pulled it out. We're going to transfer that over, and we're going to make sure that this outer bearing over here is still in good shape. And we're going to make sure that it stays in place as we slide all this back together. So first, we're going to swap these parts over, and we're going to get this this diff cup. We're going to go ahead and get it screwed in. You need to make sure, obviously, this cup has a spline to it of some degree. So you want to make sure as you put this back in there that you do get that lined up so that it goes all the way in. Otherwise, you will have problems later. Okay, now one thing I noticed as I was putting this together is with this drive shaft set up, using either the original screw that went into this diff cup or the one that came in the new kit, it actually, the screw, it appears, sticks out just slightly too far, and it creates a ever so slight bind as you do the suspension through the travel. So what I did is I actually just filed down the head of this just ever so slightly. Not something you would ideally do, but I did. I just went over to the grinder. I just filed this head down just a little bit to help give me a little bit more clearance in there. And now as we button all this back up, that fits significantly better than it did before. A lot less interaction there. And now we have the original and now to the upgraded shock. Big difference here. This one just immediately as I release it just springs back. There's of course no resistance there. This one, nice and soft, straight out of the box. Look at that. That's looking good. So I'm not going to do anything to these. A lot of the times with shocks, I'll open them up, I'll check the fluid levels, I'll do all that kind of stuff. Nope, not going to. We're going to bolt them on just as it is and see how it looks. We have our pin and our hex. So the pin, I'm going to turn this just a little bit, so the pin just goes straight through this hole. And the hex, you see it has a cross pattern in it there. The hex just goes right on. And at that point, this tire will go right back on, making sure that you hit that hex appropriately, making sure that hex goes all the way in. And then in the kit, they do provide the actual nut and the wrench to put it on with. Now we have one fully completed, upgraded corner to this whole truck. Check that out. New drive shafts, new out drives, metal inputs, metal drive shaft, aluminum hex with an actual like hobby style nut on there instead of a Phillips screw. Look at us. This is nicer. Now I have skipped past on you. I've gone ahead and done the other front. So the whole front of the vehicle is now complete. Now we can really give you a demonstration as to why especially you want to do the shocks on this. So this is the rear. The rear is still completely stock. You notice how bouncy that is. I hit it and the rear tires literally, if you watch it, the rear tires literally come off the ground. That's happening while you drive. As you drive around in the yard or wherever you are, as that suspension compresses, when it comes back up, you're literally bouncing off the ground because of how bad that's coming back up. In the front here with our new shocks, look at that. Look at that slow rebound. Tires stay firmly planted the whole time. Look at that. Such a huge difference. All right, so then here we'll do a little drop test. Watch this. Such a difference. Okay, now we're going to skip on to the rear. Obviously getting the wheel off, top and bottom screws, everything is going to be very similar, except the rear is not a CVD like this because it doesn't need to turn. So it is just simply a dog bone between two shafts. Alright, so then just noting, here's the difference. So the new out drive versus the old one. Again, I'm going to move the bearing and the sleeve over. Here we are. We're going to reuse the dog bone and put it over there. Replace this plastic diff output with the new one. So very similar to the front, except this is just in parts. And you'll notice that in order to access it on the rear here, instead of taking off the screw at the bottom, this is actually just a hinge because it doesn't need to turn. I just took the one off at the top. Okay, and I was wrong here on the rear. This sleeve that we reused on the front, completely useless on the rear. It is a larger diameter than that new thing. It will fall off immediately, so do not worry about that. Just move over the bearing. All right, and then just like that, check this out. All 4 quarters upgraded, looking good, looking smooth. The whole truck, oh my gosh, check that out. It just lands now. It just does the thing. That is every bit of worth it. So if you're doing this, you know, are these upgrades necessary? Of course not, but are they nice? Oh my gosh, those shocks, that is such an upgrade for this truck. Those shocks are great on there. And then when you're doing those drive shafts, you're doing the CVDs in the front, you're doing the rear outputs and inputs cups. What you're doing is you're just improving the overall durability of the truck. You're literally just going to make it to where it is less likely to break on you in the future as you're out there bashing around and having fun with it. So for the price of those upgrades, which of course I'm going to provide a link for down below in the comments, why the heck would you not do it? But thank you, folks. I really hope this video was useful for you. You know, if you have, this is the 18859, if you have the 18858, also the more truggy version, exact same process, exact same thing. Let me know if you have any comments or questions down below. You know, are you doing it? Are you stuck? I'm happy to help out. I try to respond to every comment that comes in, really try to be useful if I can. So anyway, thank you very much. I really hope this video was useful for you. Come over here, check out some of the other stuff that we have going on. Man, we took these things to skate parks. We have bashed them in the backyard. We've had some pretty good fun with these Haiboxing vehicles. So come over here and check out some of those videos from them. And we will see you in the next video. So thank you and goodbye.